adding quests to your game is something that is not very easy to do. So we have quite a lot to do there. There are many different types of quests that you can implement in your game. However, today we will only take care of one kind, which is matching a single requirement. You can increase that to match several requirements at the same time. What we will not do, and we'll do later, is how to make quests about a progress, tracking progress, right? A quest that will be like generate 1,000 silver. That's not what we're gonna do. Here in the off time, I created a new generator. A new generator, a new resource. Those are just copies of the silver generator and manager, except that the numbers, they're a little bit different. It generates way less and it takes so much more time. I also created a new view which is specialized for the quests, and I prepared a kind of placeholder for the very first quest that we will create. These are just boxes. We can actually go see what it looks like. Here in the quest, there it is. We have a few boxes on top of each other. And again, this is the block of the main quest. I created this little collapse button, which I use. Here's the code if you want to take it, or you can try to do it yourself. It's just a button that plays with the visibility of another node. Here, the visibility of this VBox container. So this collapse here is indeed changing on and off this VBox. Here is a very quick class to describe what this quest class will be like. Not everything is in there. It's just a broad idea of what we want to create. It will be slightly different, and it will be different based on your needs. But anyway, these are the common things that you will find in quests if you make the same. You will need a signal for the completion of the quest, and then you will need a few requests to allow you to get the description, the title, what the button should say, the state of the quest. Is it completed? Is it hidden? Is it unlocked? And of course, a very last request, which will be checking for completion, sort of. For this quest in particular, I want the player to be able to spend silver in order to buy or purchase another location. Here, the lumbering camp. The lumbering camp will be hidden and unlocked by default, and the player will have to go through that quest to unlock the lumbering camp. There are many ways to implement this quest, so I will actually start by talking about the progression. The progression is a data file that I usually like to have in games which need to have a linear progression and unlocking of stuff. It is just a data object that will contain a lot of boolean or some integers or float for progress bars towards some goals, and that's pretty much it. Here, let's create a new script for our data, which is going to be data progression. In there, we would be able to store all the progressions necessary for the game. We could eventually later on decide to cut this in smaller parts, but at the moment, it will all lie within one single script. So we will export a variable which is going to be telling us if the to-do quest 01 is completed or not. This is going to be our quest, to-do quest 01. Now that we have this kind of progression metric in the data object, we can start to think about the quest itself. I will create a singleton that will be a quest manager. And then I will create subquest, which will be contained within this manager. Let's create a new gray node, which is going to be a ManagerQuest, quest manager. Let's save it in its own little folder, ManagerQuest, and save it. So let's make it a singleton very quickly. So we made this a singleton and created the first signal. So now let's actually see what we have to create for this class. I skipped intentionally is hidden and is unlocked because there's actually no reason to choose to hide or lock this quest because it will be unlocked by default and will always be visible. So I skipped those, but they are here because you might need those for your quests and they will be necessary for future quests. Let's actually fill those methods a little bit. So here, the button text actually will need one thing, different behavior if the quest is completed or not. For the button text, I actually want to display the cost in silver to buy the LumberingCamp, which will be necessary for this quest. So I will create a variable that will be this little cost here. The description will be the same no matter what, so I will just return whatever the description is. Here is what we have so far, a very simple description that describes the situation. The player can buy the LumberingCamp. That's pretty much it. Here we want to create the title. So I will again have a different behavior based on the situation of the quest. Is it completed or not? Just to know if the quest is completed, it's actually going to be very simple. We just want to link the game data progression reference. So here that's going to be game.ref.data.progression. Did we? Oh, actually didn't do that. So let's go in our data object to create that progression object. Export the variable progression, which is going to be data progression. And at the same time, we will initialize this to false. So we don't necessarily need to create a constructor. We can initialize some values like this. So let's do that. Let's go back to our quest here. So we can go with the progression dot this thing, and we just return that value. As for the purchase completion, we want to make a few checks. Like if the quest is completed, then we actually don't want to unlock it again. If now we want to spend the silver basically. So we want to try the spending the silver. So we'll have manager silver and we will spend silver with the completion cost. And we actually want to check if this is going to return an error or not. So if this is different than okay, then we want to return an error. If we did manage to successfully spend the silver, then game.ref.data.progression.toTheQuest01 will become true, and we will, after that, emit the completed signal, and we are good. Okay. So this is what we would do if we would have one quest in the game. However, later on, we will want to add more quests. So what I will do is create another script to put that upgrade in another script, and I will only have the manager quest here reference all the quests that we will create. So in there, manager quest, I'm going to create a new folder, which is going to be todo quests, and it will contain, yeah, it's going to contain quest 0, it's going to contain todo quests 01. In there, we'll create a new gray node, which is not going to be a singleton, doesn't need to be a singleton, but it will be in its todo quest 01 folder here. We will just grab everything and put it in its own todo quest 01 script. So let's actually create a class name, todo quest 01 extends node, and add the script of that quest. There we go. Now that we have this quest can be dropped within our todo quest here, so it's not the same good thing. I actually want to bring it in my manager quest, my bad, because since we will create a function which is going to be get todo quest 01, which will return a todo quest 01, we actually can just get the node here, which is going get todo quest 01. Not really get, just actually, I just want to grab the node todo quest 01, and I can get rid of this. Okay. This is a way we could make a function which uses an argument to return a quest. That could be something. However, I'm not choosing to do that here. So we do have the upgrade. It is added to the game at the moment that we add this manager quest to our game here. We will make it second after the currencies. Again, it's kind of a random choice here. I just want it to be before the user interface, that's for sure. So anyway, now what we want to do is to bind our new quest to this user interface that we created. So here is the object or the scene that contains the quest, and we will create, it is, let me show you where it's saved. It is within its own folder. Well, actually, it doesn't really matter. Make something that makes sense for your game. In my game here, it is within the views, the quest views, and the todo quest 01 view in there. So I'm going to create a script, which is going to be todo quest 01, which extends margin container. I don't think I need to name it even more, since there's already a class which owns the name todo quest 01, so I don't want to duplicate it. What I will do is reference all the nodes that I need to reference, so the title, description, and the button. There is quite a lot to do in this user interface here. We basically need to calibrate everything so that the content of this node displays properly the content of the quest, and we need to bind things so that they can control the quest, complete the quest. Here, we need to bind this button so that it triggers the purchase of the quest or the completion of the quest. We do have protections that prevent us from completing the quest if we don't have enough silver, so we're good. The next thing we want to do is to actually watch for the quest leveling up, because, well, actually being completed. I'm still thinking upgrade. Because when the quest is completed, things will be a little bit different. Completed, we want to update the title, we want to update the bottom text, and we want to update the button availability. This allows us to kind of lock the upgrade so that the player can't interact with it anymore. Now we actually should be able to purchase this upgrade, which should complete the quest. And that is exactly what we want to do. The description, though, appears a little weird because I didn't think about doing the formatting. So we can fix this right away. It's actually a cheap upgrade. We just need to go back to the quest 01. We need to center this description. And we need to just add a breaking of the line after we finish the first one. So here that quest should look a little bit better. It is centered and it is still completed because it's saved. So for the sake of trying the next thing, which is locking the LumberingCamp and unlocking it when the quest is completed, we will have to erase the save file or change some values. Very simple and very useful. I'm going to create a constant, which is going to be should load. This is going to be a boolean, and here it will be set to false. This will be useful here because what I will do is if not should load, then we want to return. So this way, when I start the game, I should not have any save data. We are starting over with a blank slate. What we want to do now is to make sure that the quest does something. So we will lock the content of the LumberingCamp before it is actually unlocked by the quest. Here we do have the village scene tree, and we actually do have this LumberingCamp scene. So within that scene, I can add a script. So let's add a script to the generator log scene, and let's see what we can do. This is a way to do that, to work directly with the upgrade. Or we could do, I want to say, one step in between, which is actually adding this behavior within the generator log by saying and adding a request is unlocked, which here we'll be looking out for this upgrade. We could be fetching directly within the game data. That could be another way to do that. So choose the one that you prefer the best. Here I just want something which functions quickly. Whatever the situation is, we'll still need to update the visibility at the start of the game. So now, when we start the game, we just have the ability to trade for some goods. So Okay, we have enough silver now to go buy the quest, so we can complete that quest, which unlocks the lumbering camp, which we can turn on to generate logs. That's all I'm gonna show you in this episode. There's actually a lot to explore with the idea of doing quests and stuff. So I really hope that you will be curious and try those by yourself. If you feel confident enough to work with quests which have trackers and will, for example, after you have purchased the lumbering camp, have a quest that says generate 10 logs. If you feel confident, do try this. It's a very good exercise. Otherwise, something very cool would be unlocking a new quest here. Once the first one is completed, a new quest would appear. Anyway, that's it for this episode. I hope you liked it. It's opening a whole new branch of opportunities by unlocking things. If you did enjoy that video, please let me know, let YouTube know, etc., etc. And also, thank you for making it this far to the end. If you are willing to support the channel, I opened a Ko-fi link. So anyway, you practice because this is how you get better at making games, and I will see you in another video or within a live.